What's up, guys? Welcome to the video here. We are breaking down UFC 259 from a Draftkings perspective. Going to be, breaking down this 15-fight slate here. So lots to talk about, a lot better than the 9-fight slate we had last week. And yeah, we had a ton of ties for the winning lineup. I don't really see that happening this week with there being 15 fights. There's a ton of ways to get different, but yeah, going to be talking some core plays, some underdogs, some pump plays as well, and just breaking the fights down as a whole. So if you guys could please leave a like on the video, subscribe if you have not yet to Pub Sports Radio Live. That would be much, much appreciated. And yeah, so this card isn't fantastic. This card is easily the card of the year. And I think by the time 2021's over, I think it's going to be still card of the year. I mean, every single fight on this card is fantastic. I don't think there's one bad fight on this card outside maybe Lemos Souza. But even then, like, that fight's not awful. But it should be a really, really fun card here. So what's up, everybody in the chat? I see you guys. What's up, Sosa? How you doing? What's up, Alex Ramirez? And so, yeah, with all that said, we're going to get into it here, starting with the first fight of the night. And you guys know me. I love targeting the first fight of the night. But in this one, I'm not so sure. I think Mario Batista is going to win this fight. He's going to be throwing a ton of output, lands 6.19 significant strikes per minute. The thing with Trevin Jones is he almost got finished in that Timur Valiev fight in his last fight. I'm actually shocked that Valiev was not able to put him away because Jones was hurt bad to the body. And I wouldn't be, I wouldn't have complained if the ref stopped that fight. That's how bad he was hurt. And Mario Batista, he's not a crazy finisher, but he does have some power. We saw him go out there and knock out Miles Johns with that beautiful knee. And I don't know, I'm just not all that impressed with Trevin Jones. In that Valiev fight, he absorbed a ton of strikes. He absorbed about 10 per minute in that fight with a 29% striking defense. The one thing I will give the guy is he's very tough. He's not been knocked out in 18 fights. So do I think Mario Batista could knock him out? I think he could, but I'm more so leaning towards a Batista decision here. And at 9,100 on DraftKings, I don't really see him paying that off. I do think he could get takedowns. Jones' takedown defense isn't that great, but this more than likely does stay standing here. But yeah, first fight of the night, I do typically like targeting it, but on this one, I'm probably going to pass. Even like the Trevin Jones at 7,100, he did knock out Timur Valiev, but I'm kind of leaning towards that was a fluke in a way because, man, Valiev definitely should have finished that dude. So I'm going to take Batista. As far as the 9,100, probably not. And there's 15 fights on this slate, so we got to kind of pick and choose our spots here. We can't just go in and put a ton of ownership on all these spots. And there's some other people I do like in the 9,000, so probably very low exposure to this fight. And probably for a really good reason here. So give me Batista. Give me Batista by decision and not much ownership for DraftKings. What's up, Al Boog? How you doing, the brain? What's up, Sosa? Yeah, decision is good. Yeah, I agree. I totally think it's going to decision here. Anywhere free, but Tyone and the Valiev Jones fight would have been stopped. That liver shot was nasty. Yeah, that liver shot was disgusting. And then he kept putting it on him, but he needed a little bit more, and I think they would have probably stopped it there, but crazy. I agree. Timur Valiev probably did get caught up in the moment. I mean, putting the beating on that guy and then gets finished in the second round was pretty crazy. Brady, bang, bang. What's up, Preston? Big card tomorrow. Preston, you got any big bets for Saturday? Really looking forward to it. Taking a shot on Megan Anderson, Preston? How about that? Speaking of Megan Anderson, can't wait to get to that fight. It's going to be fun, but we'll get to the next fight here. And this is an interesting one. So we have Uros Medic versus Alon Cruz. And yeah, it's interesting because Medic is from the Alaskan fight scene. Kind of sketchy there. His opponents that he's been facing are extremely sketchy, but he is training at Kings MMA now. He does look good. He is taking care of these guys accordingly. The problem I have with the Medic side is the dude's not seen a third round. The dude's not seen a decision. He's been to the second round once, and that fight lasted 30 seconds. So there's all these question marks. And on top of that, he was going out there and getting taken down by some of these very, very low-level guys. So I think if Alon Cruz comes in here with a game plan of getting takedowns, I think he's very live to win, or at least just extend this fight. But with that said, we did see Alon Cruz get knocked out in the first minute against Spike Carlisle. I think Uros Medic is very live for our first-round finish here, but if he does not get that first-round finish, I'm kind of interested to see what happens in this fight. This is a fight I want to target both sides. This fight is more than likely going to end in the distance, whether it is Medic early, which is a decent possibility, or whether it is Alon Cruz late. We saw him get a third-round knockout on the Contender Series. We've seen him get finishes before. So, yeah, I think Elon Cruz is definitely live if this fight gets extended. The problem is, can he last that long against Medic that is going to come forward and try to take his head off? So, yeah, 8,900 Medic. I don't hate it. I think there's a ton of first-round upside. We saw him go out there in his Contender Series fight, absolutely dominate his opponent, get him out of there early in that first round. But Elon Cruz, if he is able to come in here, get takedowns, which it is possible. He went out there and tried to get takedowns on Carlisle. Obviously didn't work out for him, but like I said, I have seen Medic taken down by some very sketchy guys on the Alaskan fight scene. So I'm going to be playing both sides here. I really don't hate Elon Cruz as an underdog. 7,300. Just get this fight out of the first round. I think he possibly could take over. I mean, I don't know how bad Medic cardio is going to be if it does get extended. It's just we haven't seen that yet. So there are a ton of question marks. I'm going to play both sides, whether it is the Medic for the first round upside or the Cruz for the possible late finish. So Cruz has never lost by decision. He's been knocked out once. He's been submitted twice. Medic does have a 100% finish rate, 60% by knockout, 40% by submission. So, yeah, I think this fight finishes. I think it's a very important fight as well. My pick, if I'm doing a straight-up pick, it's going to be the Medic side. But even then, like it's so sketchy. And the more I keep looking into it, the more I'm really tempted on the Elon Cruz side. I don't think the guy's all that great, but just the question marks surrounding Medic. But we'll definitely find out in this fight. But yeah, I'm gonna split my exposure. I think this is a fight you're going to want to target. All right. Preston says NBA has treated me well so far. Maybe I left the UFC for a while. Yeah, if NBA is treating you well, awesome. I'm not much of an NBA guy myself. But yeah, UFC, I think we both had a bet on Connor. We both had a bet on Blades. They've been getting us, man. My gut says Medic, not enough tape for me to commit. Yeah, not enough tape on this guy. It's sketchy. It really is sketchy. Let's see here. I'm still concerned for Mo. Did anyone see him? Because I didn't see. Yeah, Mo's doing live streams on his channel. He's been doing content, I think, every day. So he's going live for the fights on his channel as well. I think it's Mo Scream. So you can check him out there. Don't worry. Mo's all good. Mo's doing good. He's doing his thing. Only if the dude would use his reach. Yeah, I mean, yeah. He does not use his reach. He's not great. He's not great, but this just... I don't know. I'm kind of sketched out on this Medic guy. Alaskan fight scene, it doesn't always work well. What's up, Jax? Ray, 18 watchers, 13 likes. Step up your game and hit that like button. I agree. Hit that like button, guys. Would really appreciate that. All right, so through two fights so far. So far, I really like the Medic and Cruz fight to target. Getting into the next one, we have Amanda Lemos versus Livian Souza. And like I mentioned earlier, every single fight on this card is fantastic. Maybe outside of this one. So I like Lemos here. I probably like her more as a bet, if anything. 8,700 is not bad, but I don't know. I just see this being kind of a boring fight. Souza, somebody with extremely low volume, lands 2.2 significant strikes per minute compared to Lemos landing nearly 6 per minute. And there were some concerns with the Lemos gas tank. She did gas out in a couple fights ago against Leslie Smith, but that was at a different weight class. And we did see in her last fight that she is able to go the 3 rounds. So she does look good. The cardio did check out last fight. I like Lemos here a ton. I think she's better everywhere, whether it's the striking, she's way better. I mean, Souza is so slow. I think Lemos is going to have a field day on the feet. And I think Lemos can even take this fight down to the mat as well. I mean, Livian Souza is somebody that does get taken down pretty easily. I mean, she's content off her back, but I believe Lemos is a black belt herself. So I like Lemos. I think with this new Draftkings scoring system, it can definitely benefit someone like her if she does get on top, get some top control. As far as the Souza side, I don't like it whatsoever. So Lemos for me, 8,700. I will say that it's going to be low owned, but outside of that, I mean, this probably does go to decision. Lemos, decent finisher, but Souza's never been finished in, I think, like 16 fights. So I'm going to take Lemos. Like I said, I like her more as a bet, but I will be sprinkling in some DraftKings just because of how low owned she's going to be. And I do think she does benefit pretty decently from the DraftKings scoring system, the new one, with possible takedowns and with possible control time as well. So far in the UFC, she does have 2 takedowns on average per 15 minutes with a 100% takedown accuracy, which is pretty awesome. And Souza has a very bad takedown defense of, 40%. So yeah, give me Lemos here. And the line is, really getting wide on Lemos here. And I definitely see why Souza just does not look great. I mean, she arguably lost to Ashley Yoder. So that should just tell you right there. So Lemos for me, probably going to fade Souza, honestly. Let's see here. All the lemons on lemons. All the Lemos. I got you. Sub threat also. Yep, she is a black belt. Decent submissions. Maybe can submit Souza, but Souza is a black belt herself. So Probably decision for me. Could score well. I like it more as a bet, though. All right, next fight here, we have Sean Brady versus Jake Matthews in what should be a very fun fight. And we have Sean Brady at 9,300, Jake Matthews at 6,900. Kind of crazy prices here, and the line is coming down quite a bit. I want to say Brady's at like minus 200 now. So some money is coming in on the Jake Matthews side. And really for me, these guys are really similar to each other. Both guys are decent strikers. Both guys are decent grapplers. Both guys are decent wrestlers. But I think Brady's better, pretty much everywhere outside of the experience edge for Matthews is going to have 21 fights, and the level of competition for Matthews, which Matthews has fought better competition, but Brady's going to be throwing more volume. He's going to have the better cardio. He's going to have the better wrestling. He's going to have the better grappling. So I just don't see where Jake Matthews is really better than Brady in this fight. So for that reason, I do like Brady quite a bit in this matchup. But the 9,300 on DraftKings is just really hard to get there. I like him more as, maybe a parlay piece, if anything. But 9,300, he has been scoring well. But when you got, fighters up there like Amanda Nunes, who we'll talk about, like Machachev, who we'll talk about, it's just really hard to get into Brady. I will have some. I'm not going to completely fade him just because he does have, a lot of volume upside. I do think he's a better grappler. I do think he can get takedowns. So I will have some. But 9,300 does seem like a lot in what should be kind of a close fight. But yeah, give me Sean Brady. I think he's safe. I think he's a decent cash play, but even then on a 15-fight card, there's other great cash plays up there. So probably not cash for me. If anything, I'll throw him in a couple lineups. Nothing crazy, though. As far as Jake Matthews, I think the price is off. I think there's some value on that price. It's just even if he does win, he's not going to get a finish. He's not a finisher. Even if he does win, he just probably does not score well enough to get on the optimal lineup. So mostly fading this fight on a 15-fight card. There's a lot more other spots we can target. But I'm going to pick Brady for the win. And like I said, I do like him as a parlay piece more than DraftKings. Brady Matthews goes the distance, minus 156. I bet it already. Fantastic line. Minus 156. I would love to get that line. I see it at like minus 190, minus 200. But you got a great line there for sure. I like it. Just my 2 cents. What's up? How you doing, man? Matthews is good. Brady should show out on the guy. Hope the line keeps dropping. Yeah, I hope the line keeps dropping as well. I already do have a bet in a parlay. But yeah, I like Brady here. I don't really get the level of Matthews. I get it should be kind of a close fight, but I think Brady has him beat pretty much everywhere. All right, next we have a really interesting fight. Carlos Ulberg versus Kennedy and Nzechukwu. And we have Ulberg at 9,000 and Kennedy is at 7,200. So for me, this is more of a fade on the Kennedy side. I mean, this is somebody that has not looked great whatsoever in his 2 UFC fights against Paul Craig. Paul Craig was able to submit him in that 3rd round. Really against Paul Craig, he probably should be like beating him up bad on the feet, but he wasn't able to do much on the feet in that fight. And then against Darko Stosic in a fight that he would have lost if Stosic didn't lose 2 points. I mean, he lost 2 points. Stosic kicked him in the nuts like 3 or 4 times, and the ref was not playing. So I'm just not impressed. I mean, he's a big dude. He's 6'5", 83-inch reach, but Ulberg's big himself. And Kennedy looks like he has a ton of power, but I'm just not really seeing the power in his striking whatsoever. He has some nice knees, but outside of that, like I just think he's so green. He's not great, but we haven't seen him for a while. So he definitely could be making some improvements. He's a young guy, but I'm definitely on the Ulberg side. The problem with Ulberg is the dude has 3 MMA fights. 3 MMA fights. One of those fights was in 2011 against somebody that had literally 30 seconds of cardio. The dude quit after the 1st round because he couldn't even, make it to the 2nd round because he had no cardio. So like a legit 2 MMA fights from Ulberg. So, but with that said, I mean, he has a great kickboxing background as well. Ton of kickboxing fights. He's, training with guys like Israel Adesanya. So I think he'll be fine. He does look very skilled, a very good striker. I think he's the better striker here. And we do see the line getting wider and wider, and for a really good reason. I think for Ulberg, I probably will fade him in the future against somebody that can wrestle and grapple. Probably, test that takedown defense. But is Kennedy one to test that takedown defense? I mean, we haven't seen it. We haven't seen him go out there and get takedowns. So it probably does play out on the feet. Ulberg is, the better striker by a decent margin, in my opinion. So I'm going to take Ulberg here for the win. It's a fight that has a decent chance of finishing. I think it has like the 3rd or 4th best inside the distance line on the slate. Don't really feel good about playing Kennedy at 7,200. I get he's so cheap, but the dude's not great. I mean, if you can't knock out Paul Craig on the feet, I mean, he got plenty of opportunities. If you can't knock out Paul Craig, I really question your power. So Carlos Ulberg, 9,000. I think he could finish. Kennedy's never been finished in 8 fights. Well, he's never been knocked out in 8 fights. He's been submitted by Paul Craig, but it's tough. I'm gonna take some Ulberg at 9,000. There are some other plays I like a little bit better, but I think he has a good chance of pretty much dominating this fight. I think he's a much better fighter. So more of a fade on Kennedy for me. 9,000 Ulberg. Probably not something I'd play in cash, but I do think he has a really good chance of probably finding a finish here. So yeah, interesting fight. I mean, the dude has 3 fights. It's pretty crazy there, but kickboxing background, I get it. All right, what's up, Jacksonville Zoe? How you doing? Kennedy is horrible. Yeah, he's so bad. And I was so upset in the Darko Stosic fight because I had a bet on Stosic, and Stosic would have won the fight if he didn't kick him in the balls like 4 times. It was crazy. But yeah, definitely Kennedy is a fade. He's somebody that I want to continue to fade. And this could be his maybe last fight in the UFC if he doesn't perform well. I mean, he's looked awful in his first 2 UFC fights. All right, so getting into the next fight, very exciting fight here. We have Jordan Espinosa versus Tim Elliott. Elliott 8,200 and Jordan Espinosa 8,000. Yeah, so from a DraftKings perspective, I'm really looking hard at the Elliott side just because of the new scoring system. The new scoring system is going to favor somebody that has takedown upside, somebody that has grappling upside. And, who else but Tim Elliott? I mean, Elliott lands 4 takedowns per 15 minutes, 48% takedown accuracy. And he's been fighting some good competition throughout his career as well. Espinosa is somebody that has, not done all that well in the UFC. I want to say he's like 2-2 or 2-3 in the UFC, just not been looking all that impressive. Has wins over guys like Mark De La Rosa. And the thing about Espinosa is he's sitting at a 90% takedown defense, but just going through his record, the only people he stuffed takedowns from was, some guys on the Contender Series. Guys have not been in the UFC. And then he stuffed a lot of takedowns from Mark De La Rosa, who has like a 13% takedown accuracy. So I really question that 90% takedown defense. And Elliott's a very good wrestler. So I do like Elliott in this fight. And I'm kind of surprised he's an underdog, but I guess I get it. Espinosa is going to have a decent striking advantage here. He's going to be the much faster fighter. But you'd think that the small cage is going to favor somebody like Tim Elliott, somebody that's going to be able to close the distance. So, yeah, I like Elliott a lot. We've seen that he can score well. He scored a crazy amount against Luis Smolk, I believe it was, where he got like 11 or 12 takedowns on DraftKings. I don't necessarily see that happening here, but if Elliott is able to get him down, I think the submission is very live. Espinosa is somebody that's been submitted, I think, twice in the UFC. He's been submitted 4 times in his career. And Elliott has quite a bit of submissions on his record. And Elliott's also training with James Krause. He's 34 years old. He is slowing down. But I think if Elliott can get this down to the mat, he's going to have some success. And I don't know if Espinosa is going to be able to stuff the takedowns of Elliott. So give me Elliott. I love him on DraftKings. As far as Espinosa, no thank you, 8,000. Maybe he goes for takedowns himself. I wouldn't recommend that. But if he does keep it staying on the feet the whole time, he's probably not going to score well. He's not going to knock out Tim Elliott. Elliott has a very good chin. I don't think Elliott's ever been knocked out, if I'm not mistaken. Elliott has never been knocked out in 28 fights. And that's crazy because of how hittable Elliott is. But give me Elliott here on DraftKings. And honestly, he's one of my core plays. He really is. I love the price. I love the upside. I love the takedown upside. And with this new DraftKings scoring system, I really do think it favors Elliott. So give me Elliott all day on DraftKings. I don't hate him as an underdog bet as well. I'm actually kind of shocked that he is the underdog just because of how not great Espinosa has been looking. I mean, he's like 2-3 in the UFC. All of Elliott's fights are DraftKings gold, have both sides of this fight. I agree. His fights are DraftKings gold either way. The only way I see Espinosa scoring well if he goes for some takedowns himself, which is possible. It's just not something I recommend because he probably gets subbed if he does that. Pub Sports Radio Live, thank you all for joining the chat. Please hit the like and subscribe for us. Enjoy the rest of the program. I agree with Pub Sports Live. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you have not yet. And we're going to be going live on Fight Day. I've actually been, tuning in the past couple cards. I think I make my third appearance in a row this Saturday. It is a big card, so I might, chill out for the prelims, which we have a ton of them. So tune in there. I'll probably be on there on Saturday talking some live bets, all that good stuff with the guys. It's always a fun time. All right. So getting into the next fight here, we have Kai Kara France versus Rogerio Bontorin. I think Bontorin's going to be one of the more popular dogs on the slate. I get it. A lot of people don't really like the Kai Kara France side or him in general. And he did take an absolute beating in his last fight, getting submitted. But Bontorin, 7,700 here, decent wrestler. I wouldn't call him a great wrestler, decent wrestler, very strong guy. The striking just is not there, though, for Bontorin. Averaging about 2.3 significant strikes per minute in the UFC. 52% accuracy. He does absorb a 3.17 with a 38% striking defense. I think Kaikar France is going to be levels and levels and levels above Bontorin on the feet. It's just, will he be able to stuff the takedowns? And this is another guy that has a 90% takedown defense. And the thing about France is, yeah, his takedown defense is fantastic, but what else is fantastic is his get-up game, his scrambling ability. I don't think he has the same get-up game as an Espinosa, or I don't think Espinosa's get-up game is as good as France, or I don't think his scrambling game is as good as France as well. So although Espinosa does have a 90% takedown defense, I think France's takedown defense is a little bit more legit. And I do think France has fought some really decent fighters that have tried to take him down as well. But yeah, tough fight for me, really. But I like the France side. I get the underdog shot on Bontorin because if he does win, it's going to be due to wrestling. It's going to be due to grappling. I don't know. I just see him getting pieced up on the feet and getting pieced up pretty bad. Although Bontorin's going to have a 3 or 2.5 inch reach advantage. But I'm going to France here. As far as the DraftKings perspective, this is a dog or pass on DraftKings. France, 8,500. He's probably not going to knock out Bontorin. Bontorin's pretty tough. He's going to put up a lot of volume, but we've seen it that with this new scoring system going from 0.4 significant strikes to 0.5 to 0.4, the strikers aren't really scoring well at all on DraftKings. We've been seeing strikers score horrible on DraftKings. So unless France gets like an early finish, I don't see him scoring well. I do think he's going to be extremely low owned, but I just don't necessarily see him getting the finish. And on the Bontorin side, he is a black belt in BJJ, I believe. Very good grappling, decent wrestling. So if he does win, it's going to be because of the takedown. So I will have some Bontorin. But as far as a straight-up pick, I do like the France side. And maybe even might be a bet if the line keeps coming down. If I can get France like -110, -115, that's going to be something I like. But yeah, should be a decent fight. I think it's going to be exciting. But give me Kaikar France as the pick. But on DraftKings, probably not going to get there. This is a fight you can probably not play that much of if you don't want to. What's up, Billy? Let's go. Gotta sweat out the Brady bet. Would love to see Bontorin get Gilly lucky like Royval, but siding with France too. Yeah, so that Royval fight was interesting. I mean, Royval was piecing him up on the feet. I could not believe it. Royval hurt him like 2 times. And then Royval caused France to shoot a takedown on him, which was the dumbest thing ever. Then obviously Royval was able to submit him. So I don't know if Bontorin is going to be able to bring that same style as a Royval to make, Kaikar France extremely uncomfortable on the feet. So that was a really weird fight, but Royval did get it done. That was awesome. All right, so getting into the next fight, we have Askarov versus Joseph Benavidez. Askarov is 8,300. Benavidez is 7,900. Another tough fight because, just looking at it from paper, I think this is a great stylistic matchup for Joseph Benavidez. It's just where's his head at. The dude's been coming off of 2 crazy beatings where he got knocked out by Deiveson Figueiredo in the 2 fights ago, and then he got submitted after getting dropped like twice by Deiveson Figueiredo in his last fight. So really questioning where the dude's head is at. Askarov, I'm not overly impressed with the guy. I mean, he's been looking decent against Brandon Moreno. He got that draw in his UFC debut. I really thought he lost. I mean, Moreno hurt him in the first round. Moreno hurt him in the second round. Moreno dominated him in the third round. Moreno was able to take his back in the fight as well. And then the next fight, he fought Tim Elliot. Elliot was able to take him down 3 times. Askarov took him down no times. And then the Pantoja fight, it was a really close fight. Pantoja gassed out in that third round, and what was a really close fight there. Pantoja took his back as well, and I believe Pantoja took him down also. So not all that impressed with Askarov, but I do think that if he wins, it's going to score pretty decent. I mean, he's somebody that's going to come out here and get takedowns and get quite a bit of them. I think decent volume on the feet. Could he knock out Joseph Benavidez? I mean, Askarov doesn't really strike me as somebody with some crazy power, but maybe Benavidez's chin is completely gone. So I like Askarov on DraftKings a little bit, 8,300, just because of that takedown upside. But even then, he's not going to be holding down Benavidez, who has, one of the best scrambling games I've ever seen in my life. And I don't really see him finishing Benavidez. Maybe he can. But on DraftKings, I'm more so leaning towards the Askarov side. As far as Benavidez, 7,900, he's going to want to stuff the takedowns. I think Benavidez could even go out here and get takedowns himself because Elliot went out there and took down Askarov. I think Moreno took down Askarov. And Pantoja took on Askarov as well. So, not something Benavidez has done all that much in his career, but he does average about a takedown and a half for 15 minutes. So maybe Benavidez does come out here and get takedowns. But yeah, it's a tough fight to call. I get it. Benavidez, 36 years old, has taken a lot of damage, but I think this is a good matchup for him. So I'm going to take a little bit of Askarov on DraftKings. The straight pick for me is going to be the Benavidez side, just because I think it's such a good matchup, and not overly impressed with Askarov, but he could be done. I don't know. He could be done. That last fight could have took something out of him. But again, he's going from Davis and Figueiredo ×2. Before that, he was looking really good. So we'll definitely have to see. But the pick, as a straight pick, Benavidez, as far as DraftKings, I probably lean more towards the Askarov side. But really don't love this fight as a whole from a DraftKings standpoint. Sosa says, I'm not picking anything here. Joseph's interview on how he won't be going for the title anymore kind of alarms me. Yeah, I saw that as well. I guess it is a little bit alarming, but maybe it's a good thing. Maybe he knows that he's not going to get another title shot. Maybe he needs to know that. Maybe just being realistic there. So I don't know what to think of that as well. I did hear that. Interesting as well. If Megan ever leaves Benavidez, I'm right here. I'm with you there. All right, so we'll get to the next fight. And yeah, one of the more exciting fights on the card, we have Yadong Song versus Kyler Phillips. And Kyler Phillips seems to be the dog of the week here. Everybody's on him. I get it. Song Yadong has been somebody that's been to, some 2 close decisions back-to-back against Marlon Vera and against Cody Stamann. I actually thought that Song lost both of those fights. But I think people are looking into that a little bit too much and, taking too much away from that, because Marlon Vera is a legit fighter. Cody Stamann is a legit fighter. And Cody Stamann has never been knocked out, and neither has Marlon Vera as well. So 2 very durable guys. Song was not able to get him out of there. Song went to a very close decision. The judges, scored it for Song. I didn't agree, but I don't think we can, hate on him too much for that. Kyler Phillips is somebody that's been fighting some sketchy competition, to say the least. I mean, he fought Cameron Ellis in his last fight. He fought Gabriel Silva. I mean, just such easy competition there compared to Song Yadong, who's been fighting guys like your Marlon Veras, like your Cody Stamanns, and winning those fights. So I'm really curious to see how Kyler Phillips looks here against somebody that's, semi-legit, and Song's really legit. And I'm curious to see if he's able to get down Song as well. Song does slow down as the fight goes on, but, he's slowing down against guys like Cody Stamann, guys like Marlon Vera. But even in that Vera fight, he was throwing caution to the wind in that 3rd round, hitting Vera with some massive, massive shots that, Vera, his chin is fantastic. I don't know if Phillips is going to be able to take those same shots. So as far as a DraftKings perspective, I get the love on Phillips. I think he's going to be one of the more owned dogs on the slate at 7,400. I get the price. But I'm kind of on the Song side here. I think he's a very strong fighter. I think his defensive wrestling is very good. Yes, Stamann was able to get him down 5 times, but Stamann's one of the best wrestlers in the division. Will Kyler Phillips be able to get down Song? I'm leaning towards no, but if he does, I guess he can have some success. But Song's takedown defense looks pretty legit to me. As far as Kyler Phillips on the feet, he looks decent, lots of volume, but he looks decent against guys like, Cameron Ellis, guys like Gabriel Silva. Is he going to be able to take those same shots against guys like a guy like Song Yadong? I'm not so sure. But yeah, as far as the DraftKings pricing, Kyler Phillips, if he does win, it's going to be due to a ton of volume. He's going to be out-voluming Song. If he does win, it's going to be due to him getting takedowns, getting control time. So yeah, I don't hate Phillips as an underdog. I just don't think he really wins, honestly. I like Song to win. I wouldn't be shocked if Song got a knockout as well. Song's somebody that has a ton of power. He's 23 years old as well. So we're going to see massive improvements from him. We haven't seen him in a couple months, almost a year since we've seen Song Yadong. So I do think he's going to make massive improvements. Very young, training at a very good camp in Team Alpha Male. 21 fights already at 23. Decent finisher as well. Give me Song Yadong as a pick. I like him on DraftKings 8,800. I do think he's going to be semi-low owned. But if you're looking for a dog, Kyler Phillips isn't the worst option in the world at all. So I do want to target both sides of this fight. I do think it scores pretty decent, honestly. What's up, Big Show? Kyler presents openings with his style. Song is going to have some chances to make him pay. I definitely agree. I'm really curious to see what this looks like on the feet. I really favor Song on the feet quite a bit. But I think Phillips is going to need to get this down to the mat. And Kenney, I'm leaning towards no, but we'll definitely see on Saturday. Brady, are these stats based off of the DraftKings scoring? No, these are just the UFC stats that you're seeing here. What's up, the general? How you doing? All right, so we'll get into the next fight. A fight I really have, no interest in from a DraftKings standpoint. So going to touch over it just a little bit though. Casey Kenney versus Dominick Cruz, 8,100 apiece. I see this going to decision. I think this is one of the fights that are more than likely to go to decision. I think that and the Lemos Souza fight goes the distance as well. I don't see either guy. I don't see Casey Kenney taking down Cruz. I think he could, but it's not going to work out. I think if takedowns come from either side, I may be looking at Cruz to get takedowns in this fight. And Casey Kenney is somebody that's been taken down a million times in his UFC career. I mean, he has a 56% takedown defense. He was taken down 12 times by Merab. He was taken down 7 or 8 times by Ray Borg. Taken down a ton throughout his career there. So I think, I wouldn't be shocked if Dominick Cruz came out here with a game plan of getting some takedowns. And I do think the rounds are going to be close, maybe getting a takedown to seal off those rounds. And the thing with Casey Kenney is he's not ranked, and Dominick Cruz just got done with fighting Henry Cejudo. So going from Henry Cejudo to a guy that's not ranked, it's just such a step down in competition for Dominick Cruz here. But I get it. He's 35 years old. He's battled injuries throughout his career. Doesn't have a win since 2016. But as far as a pick goes, I'm going to take a shot on the Cruz side. And I don't really love it for DraftKings. I think he can mix in the takedowns. Casey Kenney's been looking fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but he's been looking fantastic against Luis Smolka. He's been looking fantastic against Haile Alatang. And he looked good against Wood, but he arguably lost that fight. Wood outstruck him by like 20 strikes. So I don't know. I like Cruz. I don't like the DraftKings standpoint of it. I do think it goes to decision. Maybe he mixes some takedowns. I don't see a finish either side. I do think there's some better fights to target, especially in this range as well. So the picks Cruz, as far as some DraftKings, going to stay away. Maybe even fade this as a whole. Took Cruz by decision plus 190. Fantastic line there. I think Cruz by decision is like down to plus 160. So good line there. Do you know if it's the career stats? So it is the career stats in the UFC, or if there is a contender series fight, it does add those in as well. All right, so we're going to get to the main card now. And, the main card is fantastic. The main card is legit. This is something I will be paying for. I know the last pay-per-view, I really struggled to, cough up the money to pay for it because it was awful. But this is something I'm willing to spend my money on here. So we have Aleksandar Rakic versus Thiago Santos. Rakic is 8,600 and Santos is 7,600. This is another fight that I think has a good chance of finishing. This is another fight I want both sides of. And I think this fight scores very high either way just because of the styles of either guy. So if Santos wins this fight, it's going to be by knockout. He's not going to win a decision. He's not going to win by submission. If he wins, it's going to be because he catches Rakic, he knocks him out. Rakic has been knocked down by one Devin Clark, so it is possible, but I'm going to go with the guy with the more path to victory. I think Rakic could stand with him for 15 minutes and beat him that way. I think he could maybe knock out Santos, but I think the best path to victory for Rakic is going to be taking Santos down, controlling him down on the mat, landing some ground and pound, and probably finishing him on the mat. But if he does, strike with Santos for long periods of time, he's going to be playing with fire, and Santos can definitely catch him. So I'm split on this fight on DraftKings, maybe not 50-50, maybe a slight lean to the Rakic side, because I think if he wins, it's going to be because of takedowns, top control. But you can never count out a guy like Santos. Santos has insane power, and we have seen Rakic hurt before. So if I was to do my ownership off the top of my head, I haven't looked into ownership yet for me personally. Maybe I do like Rakic 45, Santos 25, something like that, something close like that. I don't want to go all in on this fight on a 15-fight slate, but I do think it's important. But give me Rakic as a straight-up pick. If you're looking at the Santos side, maybe bet him by knockout. 7,600 if he wins. He's probably optimal with a KO. So, yeah, I think Santos is one of the better dogs on the slate, but it's really hard to ignore the glaring path to victory for Aleksandar Rakic. But it's going to be sketchy on the feet for sure when he stands with Santos, which I do think is going to happen. So we'll definitely see very, very good fight to open up the main card. But the pick's going to be Rakic, and I don't hate him on DraftKings as well. All right, so getting into the next fight here, we have Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. And yeah, Machachev is 9,400. Drew Dober is 6,800. So Drew Dober is, your classic pump play. I mean, the dude's 6,800. If he wins, it's because he knocked out Machachev. I think that's his one path to victory. He's not going to win a decision. He's obviously not going to submit Machachev. If he wins, it's going to be because he knocked him out. Which, is it possible? Yeah, it is. I don't think it's all that likely, but it definitely is possible. Drew Dober has a couple knockouts in a row. Machachev has been knocked out in his only loss as well. So yeah, I mean, I've heard some takes out there that, Makhachev is chinny. I don't think that at all. He got caught. It happens. But as far as, the stylistic matchup goes, this is such a great matchup for Makhachev. And we'll take a look at the stats a little bit. But Drew Dober has struggled with that takedown defense, sitting at 58%. He's been submitted a decent amount of times as well, been submitted 3 times in his career. We saw Alexander Hernandez take him down 3 times in his last fight. We saw Dariush take him down a couple times as well. And Makhachev's, wrestling is legit, averaging 3.4 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 68% takedown accuracy. I think he's going to have no problem taking Drew Dober down here. But I do think there's also going to be some moments where they are going to be standing and striking with each other. And at that point, it's going to open up a window for Dober. I just think Makhachev is more than smart enough to know, I got to take this guy down. I got to do it consistently. I got to do it for 3 rounds or up until I find the sub. Don't strike with him. That's his only path to victory. I think he's smart enough to know that. So, as I talked about earlier, this new DraftKings scoring system favors those wrestlers, favors those grapplers. For example, we saw last week with Alexis Davis. She did, virtually nothing in that fight against Mazo. She got takedown. She got top control. Did nothing really. Landed a few strikes. She scored 96.5. And I do think Makhachev has the ability to put up a score like that, or even a better score than that, possibly getting a submission here. Lots of takedowns, lots of top control, and I do think a sub's on the table. I think Makhachev is one of the safer plays on the slate, right behind Amanda Nunes, that we'll talk about in a little bit. I like him in cash. I like him in tournaments. Just the new DraftKings scoring system does favor these wrestlers and grapplers, and that's exactly what he is. So give me Makhachev 9,400. As far as Dober, I'm not going to play much personally, but I do see where you could play a little bit of him if you do think that he has a chance to knock out Makhachev. I'm leaning towards no, but this is MMA. Anything can happen. But I do think Makhachev is going to be smart enough to take this down to the mat. And I think he's going to make it look easy, honestly. So give me Makhachev all day. And they're going to have a ton on DraftKings. I don't hate him as a parlay piece as well. Haven't bet him yet, but I might take a shot on him in like a parlay or something. All right, what's up? Billy, nice to see Cruz active at least of recent. Yeah, being a little bit more active compared to usual. Nice to see there. So getting into the next fight here, the People's main event, and yeah, very good fight. I'm really struggling on this fight as far as just making a pick. I think this is such a close fight. I think both guys are extremely talented, but I will say this. I think this is a fight you're going to want on DraftKings. I think that there's going to be a ton of volume in this fight, and we can just take a look at the numbers here. Jan's averaging 6.3 significant strikes per minute. Sterling's averaging about 5 significant strikes per minute. There's going to be a ton of volume. We have 5 rounds to work with. I do think this gets extended to the later rounds. So I think there's a really good floor. And, I don't actually hate the stack in cash for a very nice floor. Both guys going to score quite a decent amount here. But as far as tournaments go, I'm going to have a decent amount of this as a decent amount of this fight. And I don't know, Sterling at 7,000, I think there's some serious value there because for me personally, and according to the odds as well, it's a 50-50 fight. Both are lined currently at -110. And I'm really struggling to pick a side, but I will be playing both sides on DraftKings. Maybe more Sterling just because of the DraftKings pricing. I think 7,800, that's a fantastic dog. I mean, this is somebody that's more than capable of winning this fight. He's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. He does have some wrestling upside. So yeah, I don't hate Sterling at 7,800, but at the same time, Petr Yan is somebody else that's going to be bringing a ton of volume himself, and even said in an interview that he wants takedowns himself. So maybe we see a little bit of that. So for me, I'm probably going to split this ownership down the middle or very close to it, maybe a slight lean to the Sterling side because of the $600 price tag difference. But all I know is I want a ton of this fight on DraftKings. I see a ton of volume. And we've seen it in Jan's fights. We've seen in Sterling fights. Both these guys score very well. And you're putting them right in the $8,400 price range, the $7,800 price tag range. I think if either guy wins, they score well, they're probably optimal. So this is probably going to be one of my higher owned fights on the card. I actually like this fight from a DraftKings perspective more than the main event, believe it or not, that we'll talk about. So if I was to do a pick on this fight, I'd take Petr Yan, slightly. I think this is such a close fight. I think he's the better striker. I think he's the faster fighter. He's going to have to close that distance, but I think in the small cage, he can do it. Stuff the takedowns. Very good scrambling ability from Yan. Really hard to see Sterling keep him on the mat or even taking him down, honestly. And he has that 5-round experience. Sterling, I don't think has ever been into the 4th round. But Yan, I do think he has the better cardio as well. We have seen Sterling slow down at times. So I don't know. I'm going to take Petr Yan here for the straight pick. I'm definitely not betting it. I think if anything, maybe take a look at the over 3.5. But yeah, give me Petr Yan for the win. As far as DraftKings, probably splitting it down the middle with a slight lean to the Sterling side. Petr Yan is going to get choked out. Maybe. I mean, it's possible. Sterling's grappling's legit. It's hard to see him taking down Yan or even controlling him. So it's definitely possible, but I think it's a little bit more on the unlikely side. I see them probably striking for the majority of this fight, but you're right. If there is a sub in this fight, it's going to be coming from the Sterling side. What's up, Danny? Can't wait for Saturday. I'm with you. Danny, you're going to be live for Saturday. Let me know. I might be making an appearance, at least for the prelims, depending on what I got going on. All right, so getting into the co-main event here. And yeah, Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson in what should be not even competitive at all. Amanda Nunes is like, on some books, she's like minus 1,500. On some books, she's minus 1,400. On some books, she's minus 1,200. Regardless, she's a really big favorite here. And we have seen in women's MMA, these big minus 1,000 favorites lose. We saw Macy Barber lose as a minus 1,000 favorite. We saw Maria Agapova lose as a minus 1,000 favorite. Will we see Amanda Nunes lose as a minus 1,000 favorite? I lean towards the no, and I lean towards the no by a really decent margin. I mean, Megan Anderson, looking through her career, just not impressed. I mean, she got tapped out in the first round by Felicia Spencer. We all saw what Nunes did to Spencer for 5 rounds. Absolute domination. Nunes is going to be better everywhere, and it's not even close. She's going to be better in the striking. If Nunes wants to, she can probably knock out Anderson on the feet, or if she wants to, do her easiest path to victory, take down Megan Anderson, and I think she will. I think she makes it look easy. Anderson is somebody that has, we'll kind of go through the numbers here. She's fought, so-so competition at best. 53% takedown defense for Megan Anderson. 38% striking defense for Megan Anderson. Low volume lands at about 1.82. Significant strikes for Megan Anderson. Nunes has her beat everywhere. So give me Nunes here. Give me Nunes in the first round. I think one takedown is going to be over. I mean, if Felicia Spencer can take you down and finish the fight shortly after, I think Nunes will. A lot of people like the over 1.5. It could. I mean, Nunes' last 2 fights have went to decision, but you're going to be sweating that over. You're going to be sweating that over because I think one takedown, it's probably over. I mean, Anderson has nothing to offer back. Her grappling's awful. Her takedown defense is awful. But it's all up to Amanda Nunes. Like, what does she want to do? Does she want to play it safe, take this into later rounds, or does she want to finish right away? Either way, I think she scores well. 9,600, that's going to scare a lot of people off of her. I mean, people are going to think that that's a little bit too expensive and all that. We see it time and time again. People try to fade Amanda Nunes on DraftKings. It doesn't typically work out. I mean, she went out there against Felicia Spencer, and she put up an absolute clinic in her last fight, takedown after takedown, after advance, after strike. I do see a similar performance here, whether she does finish early, which is going to score a ton, obviously, or if she does take this into the later rounds, which is going to score probably even more with the takedowns, control time. And I don't see Anderson having anything. So 6,600 for Anderson. I'm not going to go there. Do I hate anybody for taking a shot on Anderson? Kind of. I mean, I just don't see it happening. But Amanda Nunes is going to be my highest owned fighter on DraftKings by probably a decent margin. And as far as the price tag goes, you can pretty much play any lineup you want. There's so many good underdogs. There's so many great guys in the low 8,000 range. I was messing around with it. You can easily play Nunes and Machachev together. It's pretty easy there. So give me Nunes. Am I laying the minus 1,400? No, I'm not, but I will be stacking up and loading up on the DraftKings side of things. All right. Danny, like your Izzy Brady parlay this weekend. Yeah, not bad. I'm on a Brady parlay myself. I have Brady and Batista. Yep, the baby swag narrative's going around as well. A lot of people think that maybe Nunes is not going to be as sharp as usual because she did have not herself, but she does have a kid now. I get it. But even if Nunes showed up without one leg, I think she could take care of Anderson here, honestly. Nunes is the father now. I mean, yeah, pretty much. All right, so we'll get into the main event here. We have Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz, and I'm kind of struggling with this fight, not as far as, picking a winner, but as far as how much ownership do I want on this fight. We all know that the main event's going to carry some decent ownership. because it's the main event, and especially for Adesanya. I mean, Adesanya is 20-0, very well liked, very well known. So I do think he's going to be one of the higher owned players on the slate. And I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, Jan Blachowicz is somebody that he's going to be at a massive speed disadvantage here. But in 35 fights of Jan Blachowicz, the dude's been knocked out only one time by Thiago Santos. Is Adesanya coming up to 205? And he talked about in an interview he's going to be coming in weighing around 193. Is his power going to translate up to this division against somebody as big as a guy like Blachowicz, who has a good chin? So I don't necessarily see Adesanya knocking out Blachowicz at least early. Maybe he does finish him late, but he's going to have to be the second person to do it, which is pretty crazy to think about. Yeah, 9,200. It's hard to get there. It's hard to get there for a couple of reasons. I mean, he's going to be high owned. I don't like that. Is he going to finish Blachowicz early? I don't think so. Is he going to get takedowns of Blachowicz? Absolutely not. Is he going to get control time on Blachowicz? Absolutely not. So he's going to land a few strikes. I can kind of see this being like the Yoel Romero fight, where they kind of just look at each other for 5 rounds, and then Adesanya, gets a little bit of the better of the exchanges there. But as far as a pick, I mean, it's pretty clear for me. I mean, it's Adesanya. He's going to have a massive speed advantage, massive volume advantage. But as far as DraftKings, I just can't get there. I can't get there at 9,200. I don't think he scores well. Even if he does get a finish in, like, say, the third or fourth or fifth round, is he going to be racking up control time, takedowns, or even significant strikes up until that point? I'm leaning towards no. I'm leaning towards it being a low-volume affair. If anything, from a DraftKings standpoint at least, I don't hate Blachowicz at 7,000. I mean, if Blachowicz wins, it's going to be a finish. He's not going to win a decision here against Adesanya. If he wins, that means he knocks out Adesanya. And I'm probably one of the biggest Blachowicz haters out there. I mean, I've picked against this guy time and time again, and I'm wrong time and time again. I picked Dominick Reyes. I picked Luke Rockhold. I picked Corey Anderson against him. I did pick Blachowicz over Souza, but still, I was not a believer in the Polish power. I mean, I thought he was going out there knocking out chinny guys like Rockhold. How impressive is that? He's knocking out chinny guys like Anderson. How impressive is that? But he's got my respect now. I mean, going out there, knocking out Dominick Reyes, putting on a performance like he did, I got to respect the guy. But the problem is, especially in this fight, it's going to be closing the distance, which I do think the small cage is going to help him do that. But is he just so fast? So fast, really great at, circling out. Blachowicz does these little blitzes where he blitzes in, throws like a 5-piece combo, leaves a lot of openings. I don't recommend he does that here, but his blitz is just so slow, and he's a slow dude. So, yeah, unless he's able to close the distance, take down Adesanya, which I guess is possible. We have seen Adesanya taken down before at 185. He was taken down a couple times by Marvin Vettori. But, man, I don't know. From DraftKings, I will have some Blachowicz. But as far as Adesanya goes, probably not going to have much. Blachowicz, 7,000, I don't hate it. I mean, I would like to see what happens if Blachowicz does come out here and try to get takedowns. I mean, not many people are talking about that. Like, what happens if Blachowicz does take down Adesanya? Because Blachowicz is a black belt. Blachowicz is somebody that tapped out Nikita Krylov, which was very impressive there. So, yeah, the pick for me is Adesanya. My pick is Adesanya by decision. But I just don't have a great feel in this fight, honestly. I'm kind of sketched out on it. Adesanya coming in 193. Blachowicz is going to be cutting down to 205. He's going to be the much bigger fighter. I'm kind of sketched out, but give me Adesanya for a pick from DraftKings. I'll pick Blachowicz there. But man, I'm excited for the fight. Would I rather be seeing Glover Teixeira in here? Yes, absolutely. But Glover Teixeira is actually going to be weighing in as an alternate, I believe, so that's awesome. But this fight's interesting, I guess. But the picks is Adesanya. This is going to look like Roy Jones and John Ruiz. Squad, I agree. Billy says, yeah, I'm playing it at 0.5 units and adding Matthews, Brady hedge, plus 875 odds for 0.15, nothing but sprinkle. What's your building blocks for DFS this weekend? Yeah, so my core for this weekend, if I had to pick, 3 or 4 fighters, I'd probably go with Nunes. I'd go with Machachev, and I know what you're saying. Both those fighters are so expensive, but you're definitely able to put them both in a lineup. I tried it out; it's pretty easy. I like. Who else do I like? Tim Elliott. I think Tim Elliott has a lot of upside. Other than that, as an underdog, I think Sterling is really interesting, 7,800, just so cheap. So kind of those four or what I'm looking at. I think Jan's fine as well. But it comes down to the fights I want to target. I want to target the Jan and Sterling fight. I want to target Amanda Nunes. I want to target the Song Phillips fight. I want to target the Espinosa Elliot fight, more so on the Elliot fight, but I do want to target it. And I want to target the Medic and Cruz fight as well. I think the Medic Cruz fight is one of the more important fights on the slate. But yeah, it should be a fun slate. 15 fights. Really can't complain about any fight on this card outside of, I guess, Lemos, Souza. But even then, that fight should be fine. But yeah, it should be fun. So, hello, Tajik Bey. How you doing? Hopefully I pronounced that right. Preston's happy that the NBA players are winning 4 in a row, up to 8-3 so far. There you go. I've never bet on NBA. Probably never will. But yeah, maybe it's something I should look into. All right, guys, thank you for hanging out. We've been at about 51 minutes, had a ton of fights to talk about. If you guys can hit the like button, subscribe if you have not yet to Pub Sports Radio Live, and then tune in Saturday. We're going to be going live from the fights. I want to say off the top of my head, the fights start at 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. I could be an hour off there, but around there. So subscribe. Come check us out Saturday. Going to be talking some live betting, some commentary as well. And there's a good chance that I will be making an appearance as well. So, again, hit the like button, subscribe, all the good stuff, and see you guys soon. Peace.